we go.
Hi, this is Kathy DeHart with DeHart Construction Services, located right here in the Inland Empire. You know, we're a family-owned business, and today our youngest member of our family is visiting. Kinsey, can you say hi?
Hi.
Now, Kinsey, I have an important question for you. Where do you think food comes from?
A market store?
You're right. But before it gets to a market, we have farmers and dairies and all kinds of other people who make food. Do you remember hearing that?
Uh-huh.
And then we have people who have to keep the food cold.
And guess what?
What?
I remember we getting strawberries at a little market.
Well, Papa and I, we work with companies that make food and keep food cold and gets it to the grocery stores.
That's cool.
DCS is a proud supporter of the American Dream. For all of your cold storage or food facility needs, visit our website at chillwithdheart.com. Once again, chillwithdheart.com. Serving all of California, CSLB 949062.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Lexit War Room. First of all, shout out to our sponsor, DCS, for showing us love and investing time into us. And you guys go help them out. Go support them. They're patriots, and they support us, so we need to support them. So let's dig into it. There's so much going on. We have so much. We're not going to have time to dig into everything because it's like one day after another, there's something new going on. If it isn't Brazil, it's our capital. If it is the third capital, there's so much going on. So first, let's dig into the most important thing. Wait, first, shout out to Araceli, sister in the middle right here, this famous sister right here, and the founder, Jesse Holguin from Lexit. He took time out of his busy schedule, and he pretty much put his house on hold. So shout out to Jesse. Thanks for joining us. So let's dig into Biden, you guys. Let's dig into this first, and then we'll get out to all the juicy stuff. So I can't even keep up with this. I heard it was 1, then I heard it was 2, and tell me if I'm wrong. Now 3 classified documents that have been discovered?
No. There's more than three instances of classified document groups. It's insane.
Wow.
And he was bashing Trump. Remember the fake media and all that was nonstop. And even they raided Trump's house for that. And he was a president, so he could classify it and all of that. But they raid Trump's house. And why haven't they raided Creepy Joe and all of it? It's once again, like we always say, it's the Democrat liberal privilege. That's what I always see.
Yes. And I think one of the biggest things to focus on is the first documents were found on November 2nd. This was exactly the time when they were blowing it up everywhere that Donald Trump had hidden these documents. November 2nd. They hid it from the public for over, 2 months? 2 months.
Wow, that's crazy.
And that was the first set of documents.
Somebody said that he hid all the documents under his Depends. So that's why you couldn't, not just kidding.
His Depends.
Under his diapers, so you couldn't really get to him. People were like off limits. No, but okay. So let's first dig into the hypocrisy of this all. And Jess kind of touched on some of that. So we're seeing some, and it gets interesting because as we dissect it, it's kind of interesting because we're always saying nobody's calling it out, but some mainstream media is calling it out, right? So what is their play here? What are their moves? What do you think they're trying to do? It's coming soon to where he's going to be out. Do they want him out? Do they want to kind of bury him? Because the Democrats will sometimes go all the way with their lie, all the way to the grave. With this one, they're not. So why? We want to dig into that. And another question real quick is the timing. Why so early? What do you guys think?
Yeah, it could be. You never know them, but it's just once again shows how slimy they are. Like even with the Hunter Biden, when all of the laptop and all that came out, they held it till after the elections, whatever, and then they get once again, like Araceli said, they wait. How convenient! They wait till right after the election. Then it comes out. It's always they're always protecting these slimy Democrats. Like they do
Wow.
everything and anything to win and get power, and then now they even weaponize the FBI and the DOJ, so they don't do nothing. Just the biggest thing out of everything, though, nah, I know nothing's gonna happen because even that dude that Merrick Garland appointed a special counsel, they try to say, oh, he was a Trump appointee, but all the Democrats wanted him to stay there. So what does that tell you about the guy? He ain't no good. And then we know how many Trump appointees ended up later turned out no good rhinos and all that anyway. So we don't have no faith in that. So I don't have no faith in him. If for them to want to keep him in there, to me shows me he's deep state, all that, just like them, and I don't expect it to go nowhere. Sadly, I hope I'm wrong though.
I would have to say I think this was a leak that they did not intend to reach the people. Just because, like I said, they found it on November 2nd. We're barely hearing about this now. So I do think they were trying to cover this up, and someone came forward to the media. It just didn't work out the way they wanted to. Interestingly enough, there is links to the information on on Hunter Biden's laptop to these documents. I don't know if you guys want me to go into that right now, but
Let's
I
go
just
into
thought
it. Let's do it.
On the
yeah.
list?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first set of documents were found in Biden's think tank, right? That think tank was funded by a Chinese billionaire. He funded it by giving them $50 million.
Wow.
Now, the documents found at that think tank were containing information about Ukraine and China. So that's why it's important. Then when you look at the name of the Chinese billionaire, you find out that he had that particular billionaire had illegal business ties with Hunter Biden. All of this was in the Biden laptop.
Shocker. Wow.
So it's and okay, so then right, so then and not to mention that Biden himself had ties because this Chinese billionaire visited the White House while Biden was vice president during the Obama administration. So all of this kind of just like goes full circle. It's really interesting.
No,
Really
I think you're
nice.
spot on. You know, another thing too that I was thinking about, and it's kind of, and what do they call it? Stockholm syndrome. When after so many times you're just like, all excited, you know, just happy when they throw you a bone, but really nothing ever, you know what I mean? So, will anything come of this? That to me is the ultimate question. Will anything come of this? Because how many times have we been like, we got him, we got him, we got him, we got him? Okay, so let's talk about this. Who would be in charge right now of pushing this to the point where something will happen? Because we've seen that our voice can be heard, right? From the 20 that just, you know, held up and kind of was a lot of our voices there at the Capitol. Who do we got to put on blast right now to hold them, to keep the pressure on this, something
Well,
happening?
the best shot we have is the House because we won the House now, and I don't like McCarthy in there, but they need to have those hearings. That's the best that's gonna come of it. Is that the hearing? They could pull some righteous dirt, everything coming out, like just all the facts in the court of public opinion. That's probably the best, in my opinion, that's gonna happen. But even that is great because it'll get all these leftists that we always argue with and all of that. They're gonna just be facts upon facts, and just be showing all the facts, showing all the dirt, showing all the slimy, to show them. Just that's the but to me is that's what I'm hoping for, is that Jim Jordan and all of them, the rest of the fellas over there, that they'll expose it. They'll expose all the corruption and even expose the FBI, Merrick Garland, all that stuff. I just hope they could do it in the House.
But I think the way A-Rod described it is perfect, Stockholm syndrome, because how many times has information leaked that should have just we never should have allowed our government to get to, but we do nothing. The public does nothing. All we do is like, oh wow, that's horrible, and then we keep on living our daily lives without putting any kind of pressure on the government. So I really don't think anything's going to happen.
Well,
and the first thing that happened after this came out, people started making excuses for Biden. They started comparing the Trump and Biden situation, saying it's completely different because Biden turned them in as soon as he found it. The real question is, Biden had them for over 7 years. Biden had these documents. Why did the National Archives not go after these documents?
Right.
You're going to tell me they just didn't know they were missing? I don't buy that. Either they're in on it, on whatever scam or information that Biden sold, because again, this all goes back down to Hunter Biden laptop, or they just this proves that they had a witch hunt after Trump, because Trump had those documents for less than a year after his presidency ended, and they had already issued legal action against him. Why didn't they issue legal action against Biden? This is proving everything that conservatives have been saying for the longest times, that there was a witch hunt after Trump.
Right. No, I think you're spot on. And I don't know who was in the comments, but I just caught Sister Grace. She said something that is so true. And I think we could capitalize off this. McCarthy right now, he's doing more than he ever has, right? Because he's trying to prove to everybody that he's not a rhino. That's what Sister Grace just said. And she is so spot on. He's going out there going, look at you guys, I'm not a rhino. So this is a perfect opportunity to be like, well, prove to us. Hold Biden and their whole team, hold their feet to the fire and don't stop, right? Because here's the problem: is on the liberal side, you know what they do? They mix up allegations and convictions. You remember that? They'll have a whole list of things. They'll be like, Trump, well, those were allegations, bro. They were no convictions.
But they did that leftist when we were arguing with you. Remember, he showed that list, and they were all fake. None of them had nothing to do with Trump, but he was acting like if they were convictions.
There were no convictions on Trump, right? There was connection, allegations. Here you have a possible conviction, but I mean, it's an allegation, of course. And the left always says that they are the ones that actually are for the people, right? They want an honest government. They always, and here you have an opportunity for them to sit here and go, wait, look at this guy. And then they support him with their silence. This is exactly what they do. They stay silent because they realize they've been pointing the whole finger at Trump this whole time. And it's there, man. We've known this. I mean, I have disagreements with Trump, but we know who the real corruption is. We know that. We know Biden and them are straight corrupt from the feet up. Like it's not even a discussion. I just hope that McCarthy, why he's trying to prove himself right now, that he's not a rhino, will hold the Biden administration's feet to, hold them accountable, but don't let go. That's the biggest thing that happens is all of a sudden they're like, we're going to look into them. And then it goes off to the sunset. You never hear from it again.
I mean, I think at best we're going to see them drop charges against Trump, because I don't think they'll convict Biden for it. So at best, we'll just see them drop all the charges they had against Trump, which is not what I'm encouraging. What I want is that I saw a bunch of Democrats and liberals talking about how it's really messed up that conservatives and Republicans are excited to see Joe Biden break the law. No, we're not. What we want is equality. We want fairness. If you went after Trump for this, I don't care who Trump is, go after Biden for the exact same thing. But the first thing you do is start making excuses for his actions, justifying them, saying it's different. It's not. Prosecute him the same way you're prosecuting Trump. That's what we want.
What was his excuse? He forgot? What was his lame excuse or something?
He put him in his garage or something stupid like that, where his Corvette or something. Is that the stupidest?
First of all, he said his lawyers found them. Now I want to know. Look, I've had a couple lawyers before, and the retainer was ridiculous. And when I called them one time, I seen how much they charged just for a call, and I don't think I ever called them again. Like I was just like, I'll call you when it's really important. So who has lawyers cleaning out your offices? Like what lawyers? Because he said my lawyer is the one. My lawyers found this. So your lawyers just sit around and clean up. They're movers too, as well. Is that what they do?
No, but once again, to me, it's showing the double standard. It's showing the double standard because look at Trump, right? The wind blows and they're opening an investigation on him, impeaching him. How many investigations? They even just did one in New York on his taxes and just like sold everything. Remember, they even raided Roger Stone in the middle of the night. And you know what I mean? Like all of them. What they see what they do to us. You see how they come after conservatives with they throw the book at us, say any little thing, even Cohen, all of them, they're putting all kinds of bogus old charges, anything on them, even trying to entrap people. Remember McCain and all that was trying to entrap General Flynn, and like they're doing all this.
Garbage.
disgusting stuff, illegal stuff, trying to get us. Even then, they can't even get us that. But yeah, righteous, real dirt with evidence, facts, proof, and all that on there. And let's see, eh? But I don't think so. 'Cause look, it even just came out what Tucker won, even JFK. We found out what really happened to JFK and all that. Look at nothing. The fake media didn't even want to talk about it. So hopefully that we're all wrong, and hopefully something happens. But imagine too, they should even immediately start an impeachment thing. They were impeaching Trump for less, for Ukraine nonsense and ridiculous old stuff. This is righteous old stuff. So but even it ain't gonna go nowhere because we don't have the Senate and all that. But still, at least, anyways, do what they do. 'Cause, even with these January 6th bogus hearings that how they just drag on these stupid old nothing hearings or whatever, we should do the same thing. Eh? Just airing out all his dirt, airing out how slimy that's what I think that they should just do it. Just go balls out. You know what I mean? Just
I
go
don't think
after
it'll
them.
make a difference, though. I feel like A-Rod is right. Stockholm syndrome is exactly the way to describe people. They have seen the dirty of Joe Biden. They have seen everything that he's done. I mean, he wrote the 1990s crime bill that they call the institutional racism, right? And the very people that are against institutional racism, I think most people are, but the very people who claim to be like one of their main issues, they voted for him. They don't care about it. Because they've been told so many times over and over again that he's a good guy that they no longer see anything else that he does. So I don't know what's going to change this at all. But we've seen this double standard, especially
Right.
with Trump. I mean, you can go back to the Jeffrey Epstein files where they specifically questioned the victims about Trump, which I have no problem with. But there was a list of hundreds of politicians and celebrities. Why were the people on that list not questioned specifically about as well? Why did they
Right.
only question them about
That
Trump?
is crazy to me. That's a whole other subject. That's one of those things where I don't even. I truly believe that I don't know why the people on that say they advocate for human trafficking and all this stuff on the left. I think that's when you know at the core of them, they know that their list is going to be this long, right? They know, so they're rather just they don't want true change.
Leave it alone. Yeah.
They don't want. They're like don't even because they know how many Republican politicians. Who knows? Honestly, my take on this, I think it's too good to be true. It's planned. The government allows things to happen. I feel like that's how corrupt they are. That's just my point of view. I think we haven't seen how this is going to play out. And when we do, we're going to be like, because I feel like the government is so corrupt and politics. I think we haven't even scratched the surface to even, I think what the 20 did on that day was like just a little 0.5%, not even 1% of what we need to do in whole to all of the swamp.
Maybe they know Creepy Joe is not going to last, you know what I mean, for another 2 years or whatever. So it's just a plan to get Creepy Joe out of there. Even they want him out because, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel like that. I don't think they do. Initially I thought there was a plan to replace him with Kamala, but Kamala's ratings ended up being so bad, people didn't want her at all, and they've kept him in for longer than I think they've wanted to. But I think they're gonna stick to him because who else would they put in his place?
That is scary how they don't have nobody on the left, but he just ain't all there, right? Like
That's why he's easy to control. I don't think he's the one in charge. It's either his wife, and if it is his wife,
Obama.
she's the smartest woman
It's
in the world.
Obama's third term, man. Obama's in the background. Obama's the one pulling the strings and everything.
Maybe they just want him out.
But would they? Okay, but they control the media. Would they be? The media is not throwing him under the bus or questioning him the way it should be.
But see, here's the thing: the media normally wouldn't even say nothing.
But the first thing CNN did.
Well, they have to.
No, they did it with the Biden laptop.
The first thing that CNN did was try and justify and demonstrate how Joe Biden's was not a crime, but Trump's was. Wow. So that's the first thing I saw from especially CNN, and that's like Democrat-controlled media. So I would think personally that if they're going to try and kick him out, that it wouldn't be damage control. They'd be like putting fuel in the fire, you know?
True. That's true. I just think that, and I've seen it before, look at everything that happened with the Jeffrey Epstein, like literally Look at Jeffrey Epstein. Like, just look at that. Everybody was going to want that list. And they basically just told everybody, tough cookies. You ain't going to get the list. Get over it. And that was it.
No, okay. And then we have the Ghislaine, we have the Ghislaine, or I don't know if that's how you say it, Maxwell trial, where she admitted that she had the list, that she had proof, she had evidence, she had videos, and then she gave it over to the judge. And we still have yet to see any of that information. Why?
And we're not. We're not. That's why I'm telling people, I feel like the government, when they want you to allow you to have it, they will. And when they don't, they won't. And I feel like this one, they're allowing it for whatever reason. I'm not at least for me.
But you know, too, imagine they don't even have no reason.
Let me be wrong, and then I'll start believing something actually. Not the other way around, because then I feel like
imagine they have no reason, A-Rod, to not even show the names on the Epstein list for what? It is for national, you know what I mean? Like, because of these pedophiles or what, like, how is that going to hurt? You know what I mean? How they try to do that. They try to redact things. They say because of for the country, whatever, safety and all that reason. How is that? And this pedophiles. How is it any of that? No, they should release.
Think about this. Remember when January 6th, they were asking about that one dude that was like, let's rush the Capitol. Remember that guy when nobody knows where he's at? Okay, remember they were like, was the FBI in the Capitol? Was it in there? Were they involved in it? And we can't respond to that, or we can't whatever to that. Just that, like, alone, they just tell you, what are you going to do about it? We just said no, beat it, get lost.
But the FBI did confirm that they had at least 3 agents in the crowd.
Of course.
Like, after, because the lawyer had, props to the lawyer who pushed so much into this, but they pushed so much that they ended up getting a confirmation that the FBI had 3 agents in there. And then to all the liberals, ask yourself, why did they have 3 agents in there? This was planned.
Well, that's right there. Do you think that if it was the opposite, the other way around, do you think that if they had people that were part of the Trump administration that were involved in something, they would have got those guys in front of court? It would have been a lynching in front of the whole country. But this is what irritates me, and I'm never going to be a McCarthy. And McCarthy, like I said, he doesn't live far from here. There's a lot going on in Bakersfield where it's like factions of people say that we need to support each other. We need to support him because there's people that have known him since he was a kid here. You know what I mean? My pastor has known him since he started being an assemblyman years ago and stuff. And people know him, so they're like, pray for him. When when people like McCarthy come to the mic and say, hey, check it out. We're going to go against these FBI agents that were at the Capitol. We're going to go against we're going after the laptop. And then I'll start to be like, oh, okay, because that's when the crap is going to hit the fan. Not this other lightweight stuff when they're like, we're fighting against your legislation and we're going back and forth, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about actually prosecuting politicians, actually where they're going to be in trouble. Like, then I'll be like, okay, because then I'll know the swamp is not that deep. I'll know this dude wants to lock this dude up and some stuff. But until then, I'm going to be like, it's just a game. Like, you win, somebody wins. But when people start being held accountable down in D.C., then I'll know you're serious.
Yes. I mean, we saw thankfully, when Elon took over Twitter, we saw the Twitter files, which confirmed that the FBI not only knew about the Hunter Biden laptop, but that they were burying and asking Twitter to bury anything that had to do with the Hunter Biden laptop. I want to see all of those FBI agents, everybody responsible for burying that information, held responsible and accountable for, hiding evidence as criminal.
Thank you.
And if they're going to try, my thing too is always it comes to fairness. If you're going to try the people at the Capitol, I don't think they were walked in. We saw the videos where they were walked in. But when it comes to where they were like defacing property, they should be held accountable for that. I agree that they should be held accountable for that. That's a completely different charge than what they were held for. Not only that, but we violated their rights. We were called out by one of the most corrupt presidents in the world, Putin, for violating their rights. Like, he knows our Constitution at this point better than the American politicians. But what about all the BLM riots that were going on like 3-4 months prior to that destroyed property, ended lives? Why are we not prosecuting them? They did a lot worse. So that's, to me, it's always been about fairness. We're not seeing that when it comes to.
That was the one incident that they have against conservatives was the January 6th. And look at, we're still living in it. They even on the January 6th, they were trying to be out there in front of a police station and all that. But no officers even died. Like, what are you guys doing? False, whatever. And imagine if those BLM and Antifa riots and all that, imagine if that was conservatives. Like you
Exactly.
said, we would have all been in jail. The National Guard would have been out there. It would. That's why. That's why I always say it's liberal Democrat privilege. We see it
Liberal
over
privilege.
and over and over again,
Well,
and I'm just sick of it, man, all the time.
and I know I sound like a broken record because a lot of people always used to get mad at me when I have my other Instagrams. Rest in peace on my Instagram. But when I said you're only as strong as your representation, everybody used to be like, "Oh my God, A-Rod, you keep on talking about McCarthy. Oh my God, drop it, A-Rod. Oh my God, and then now you're seeing what I've been saying. You're only as strong as your representation.
Mm-hmm.
You really are. Because when you hand over the baton to them and they take it, it's not your time to be like, all right, buddy, see you in 2 years. All right, we'll be open. No, you're supposed to be like, hey, bro, you're making a bad decision. How come you're not doing this? We just seen what those 20 can do. When you hold somebody accountable and say, hey, look, we're tired of the games, man. Like something's got to give. And it's got to keep on. We got to build off the little that we got and don't let up. I think right now he's trying to prove he's not a rhino. And he may stop and say, okay, they'll get over it. They forgot about it because people are like that. Just people in general forget about things. Oh, it's so funny because we're like, remember everybody in 2020, they're like, there'll never be a fair election again unless Trump gets reinstated. And then 22, we're like, who are you going to vote for? Huh? Like, we like, you know what I mean? We're just like that. People are like that. So
It's good though, bro, when you makes them act right, when you hold their feet to the fire. Like today, I mean, they always heard that these other lame organizations were bad mouthing us to like all higher ups, and they were saying, "Oh, that Lexi was saying things about Trump," and we're like, "Yeah, we did, but so what? We did a lot for him, and we just call out. If nobody's above reproach, you know what I mean? Anybody's wrong, we'll call it out. He ain't our idol and all that, but yeah, we're still saying I won't vote for him or whatever. We're still going to be pushing, fighting against Democrats, but we can't say anything about him or whatever. But that's how you hold. See, and then look at that's why it seems like McCarthy's acting better because those 20 stood up. See, if everybody just stayed quiet and voted, they ain't gonna change nothing at all. See, they holded his feet and all that to the fire, so they made him better act right and all that. So now he's on his P's and Q's. That's how we need to, and especially how many times we got burned and stuff by these rhinos not doing nothing all these years and all of this. So we should even be more. We should be scrutinizing all of them until they prove otherwise.
Right.
And we have no idea, like the people have no idea how much power we actually hold. The reason our government is corrupt is quite literally over politicians that we can actually replace. If we actually replace these people, we came out and voted the way we're supposed to vote, not just every 4 years, we could actually make a difference in our representation.
Right,
but
100%.
We don't. We just ignore it. We don't even know who the people that are running in our districts are.
Well, what's the name? Kind of was there. Matt Gaetz was there for a minute, but a lot of the people, the guy from Florida that they were wanting to vote for, and Anna Paulina, a lot of these patriots, they came from grassroots organizations. They actually were grown from these groups, right? It wasn't McCarthy going out saying, "Hey, everybody, let's raise money." No, those 20, they came from they're our voice. Right, they're a overflow from us, and I love to see them do that. And I think they had the right plan. And of course, it didn't happen the way we wanted to be. But we can have everything we want. But I'm already seeing progress from them actually standing up, and I think that's huge. And I think people need to understand this. I know a lot of in the background. Sometimes I wish I could say so much, but it's just you can't. You know what I mean? You can't. You don't want this all to be drama. But I think it's just funny that we've stood this long in this movement and still preaching truth. We were saying a long time ago things that Trump was doing that was wrong, and everybody was like, be quiet. We were saying things that McCarthy was doing wrong, and everybody's like, be quiet. Now people are finally saying, hey, maybe we should actually say something. Well, a lot of times, remember, nobody can embody the movement. This is us. Like Araceli said, this is us. And people are human. When you got a bunch of yes men around you, sometimes you could get lost. And I've said it before. Let's go to the Bible. When King Nebuchadnezzar had Daniel, he realized that Daniel was wiser than all of his wise men because he was anointed by God. And when he started realizing this guy was giving him the best advice, he was like, man, I'm going to stick you right here. And it wasn't because he was like, hey, King Nebuchadnezzar, let me have everything. So I'm just going to tell you a bunch of lies and everything you want to hear. No, he was telling him exactly what was going on that was benefiting him. And a lot of times when something doesn't smell right, whether it's Trump, whether it's whoever, we should always preach truth. Like I love Araceli's videos because it's facts. It literally, like I'm watching it and I'm like, huh. And then she always has a point of view that I may not see it from that way. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't see that, but it's always true. It's true. You know what I mean? So you're like, okay, this is. So then when you got something that's true, to me, that's the most important thing because you're not basing it off the lies. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man, all these other groups that are just telling people what they want to hear. And they're just like, when you ask them, how do you think we could win in 24? They're like, Trump 2024. You're like, oh, no, come on.
That's not an answer.
Like, don't do that. Like, I get it. Trump did a lot of good things, but that's not that. What is that doing for us right now? Like, what is it doing for us right now? That's nothing.
Do you guys think he should run again?
Man. I feel like we're going to get tapped.
No comment. We have to go to the next subject anyways, Ron.
Such a divisive question to ask.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Look, me and Jess we're actually planning some stuff in the future to talk about this. It is very hard to be a believer right now and be into politics because at every turn you're having to fight your godly moral compass with your political thoughts and ideas. And you're like, well, politically, I think this is right, but morally, it doesn't set right. But the majority of the conservative movement, it may not be religious or have a moral compass. So to me, it's hard because you look at Trump and you're like, there's so many great things, and I get that. But with that, I feel morally, this is just me. This is just my opinion. Don't take it for anything. I just feel like morally, the word of God concerns, I feel like with him, we're shifting more because we're allowing things like some of the movements that are coming in, some of the, like he said the other day with certain things. And here's the thing. I always knew Trump was never like that. I knew that. I just was never aware that believers were going to set down their moral compass to follow a man so much. That's what boggled my mind. I thought that they were going to sit there and be like, hey, Trump, no, we're not for that. And I guarantee you, if more believers were to be like, hey, bro, we're not for that, he'd be like, he's smart. He'd be like, oh, you're not? Okay, well, let's go back on it. Let's do this. But I think he just, because everybody is just going like this to him a lot of the times, I think he just thinks he's making the right decision. That's normal. That literally is any normal, smart businessman will throw it out there. Remember when he talked about the vaccine and everybody booed and he goes, oh, that's just a small crowd. That hurt my feelings because it wasn't a small crowd. It was a big crowd. Okay, so we knew he was wrong at that point. But the love we have for him was bigger than that little thing, right? So everybody's like, yeah, whatever. But after a while, when it becomes a bunch of those little things, you have to stop and pause and go, okay, we don't agree with you on this. And I think that's natural. I honestly think that's natural to be like, hey, bro, we don't agree with that. Okay, let's move on. And that's it. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know. That's just me.
But speaking of, well, good. Well, speaking of the moral, go ahead. First, I'm go ahead.
Well, to me, when it comes to morality, I actually, because you have to think about relative to the rest of the population that's running. I have nothing against him running. I don't care what he's doing in his personal life. That is not my business, and not anybody's business to know what their leader is doing in their personal life. I don't think unless it's criminal, and it's not. For me, it's realistically speaking, if Trump runs again, will he win the presidential election? Is he the best candidate we can choose? I don't think so. Not because I don't agree with a lot of his ideologies and policies, but because his name has been speared so much by the left that we cannot win with just conservatives. Realistically, the country isn't split 50-50. The country is split 30 Democrats, 30 conservative Republicans, and like 40% of people who just listen to the media and get their everyday politics from the media, who don't really have an alliance, a political alliance. they're the ones who we need to win over. But because Trump's name is, like I said, has so much negative connotations that come along with it now, for him to win over that 40% crowd is going to be very difficult. So I just don't think it is our best chance to win if he ran again. I think that we might be setting ourselves up to lose. But because again, Biden has messed up so much, people have actually started to miss Trump.
That's the key right there. That's
But
the key.
we're lucky that we have some good horses in the bullpen. You know what I mean? We got Trump. We got, you know what I'm saying?
I would love to see
DeSantis.
DeSantis run.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
like
like
DeSantis. I love DeSantis. We have a couple that. So either way, we will be in good shape. Especially the left doesn't have anybody. But like I was saying, we were talking about spiritual matters and all that. That's the second subject that we were going to talk about. Is that I posted a video. If anybody hasn't seen it, go to our Lexa page and look at it. And there was a guy. He was at a church at the mall in Minnesota, and he was walking with a Jesus shirt. And the securities went up to him and they said, "Oh, that Jesus is a religious figure and he's controversial or whatever, offensive to people." So they were telling the dude, "Just take off your shirt, and then you could continue to walk around the mall or whatever, like to take off your shirt." But so I get you guys. That's what we want to talk about. That is because wow, we've been calling it for the longest time. You think they would have said something if he had a Muhammad shirt on, or if it was a Pride or shirt? Think that they would care about anybody else's feelings? But to me, it just always once again shows that everybody has rights to the left except for Christians, and Christians have no rights. They don't care about if we get offended by things that we don't get, whatever. They don't care. But it's just that you could just see the Bible said it was going to come to this in the latter days on, but we're already starting to see, and I think it's just the beginning. We're going to see it more and more. But how they said that Jesus offends people, so you have to take it off. And so go ahead, guys.
I don't know. I think the left has normalized violence against religious Christians because they associate Christianity with whiteness, and we've seen them not. And I'm not saying I am, but we've seen them normalize hatred, public hatred toward white people, public racism, and they've somehow managed to associate that with Christianity. And I don't think anybody should be getting any type of hate based off their religion or race at all. But I've seen that the left continuously does this, which has made it or has normalized in society to hate and persecute Christians. We're seeing it more and more and more where people just think it's okay to just openly hate on people over the religion.
Right. I think the bigger picture, and this is where I think a lot of people do disagree with me, is we look at the left and we say, well, the reason why this country is going so bad because they have no moral compass, right? These people are just wicked. They don't love God. We are living in an imperfect world, right? So where do they have a line and where do we have a line? Where do we stop our line? It's always good to me. I always would rather side of being more moral than not, because you're never going to meet them in the middle. So we've given up so much that eventually people think, oh, all we got to do is just bring it back 10 feet and we're good. That's so much wishful thinking. You know what we do? We lose more. That's what happens. We end up losing more. So to me, when I see the church being like persecuted like that, I think that's just the devil knowing what true change is going to come through. And I've always said this: the only way you could really change somebody's ideology is not through some government program. It's literally going to be the heart and the mind. And who does that? It's God. To me, it's God. He changes morality. He opens up their eyes to see that. And when you push more politics and less God, that's when it starts to shift. And I think a lot of people, this is where they're going to look at me and be like, because they have no answer for it. They have all this, we need to elect this person. And then we just gradually keep on going because nobody wants to have that God conversation. Nobody does. And it's sad, but I'm a church boy through and through. I grew up and I slept under the pews. I didn't know anything else. I played drums the majority of my, and I left the church and I came back. So to me, it's embedded in my heart. You know what I mean? To me, I know when I see people change in my life growing up, it was because of Christ. That was just me. You know what I mean? When I see people that held the line change, I was like, okay, it's because of God. But I think when you see somebody like that, disregarding God. They always used to have respect for that. These always used, you respect somebody else's religion. And now we're seeing other things being respected besides religion.
It's not religion though. It's specifically Christianity that's openly disrespected.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, but I was waiting.
Jesse was right. They won't do this to Muslims. They won't
No,
do this to any
me and Jesse were
minority.
just talking about that earlier.
That's what I was going to say. See, you notice that? It's only Jesus. That's how you know that Jesus is God. That's how you know that he's the real one. Because see, the devil, he doesn't care about, you can talk about Buddha, Muhammad, whatever, Vishnu, whatever, all these other, the devil or nobody's ever. It's all, you notice that? It's always only Jesus and all that. So that lets you know, because that the devil knows that's the real, that's the one that will save people, that'll save your life, change you and all that he's the real one. So that's the only time they get is through Christians, and they know if it's Christians or Jesus, then they don't. I'm telling you, you think they would have walked in there with Buddha shirts on or any of that? You think they would have had any type of problem? It's always only Jesus. You notice that? And that goes to show anybody watching this and there's a reason for that. The devil, because that's the only one he fears. He doesn't want the name of Jesus because he knows the power in the name of Jesus.
Amen, brother. Preach it now. Yeah, so I think we should all get our. Remember the old school Jesus shirts that you go to the mall and they would like do the cursive on it, where you had the Jesus ones and you were like, yeah, with the little cross. I find, I don't know, man. I just think that it's just, you have a bunch of weak believers right now, and nobody wants to stand up. And maybe we should, man. We should normalize, instead of normalizing the MAGA hat, we should have been normalizing Christ more. And not, holding that. And I'm glad that we do that, because, and I think that out of Sally, you could tell people that know God, people that grew up a certain way, you could tell whatever life they live, they never stray too far from a moral compass. And I believe it gives people common sense. I believe so, because you don't look at, this is the best words I've ever heard somebody say. Once you take God out of everything, what do you substitute morality with? Because then it just becomes about your opinion and mine. Well, then you could be right. I could be right. I could be wrong. It doesn't matter. But when you have a moral compass, something you go off of, and you base it off, then you can have an actual argument, a debate based off of a moral compass. And I always feel that gives people common sense. That's just my opinion, and that I think that's where a lot of your material comes from, is just basic common sense, but knowing where your morality is at. But I think that's despicable. I don't know why nobody's blasting that. The same thing with what's his name, the brother, the Cameron dude. How he was
Kirk Cameron.
like, he didn't let him have that book. Remember, he was trying to have that story time, and they said no. I think like 3 people.
A book about the Bible for kids. Imagine that, a book about Bible for the kids. They kicked him out, but they could have drag queen story out. That just shows you the days we're living in.
It's really crazy. I don't understand. Like I said, I'm not a parent, but it hurts my heart to see drag queens dancing on children.
Barf emoji.
Any person, even if it was at a regular women's strip club, it would be wrong. You know what I mean? It's wrong to do, and sexualizing children.
Because there's this trans influencer who's semi-big, who is acting like a victim because he was making videos saying, I want to talk to the kids. I'm sorry, I don't care. It's not because he's saying people attack him and hate him because he dresses like a woman. Nobody cares what you dress like. Nobody cares that you wear makeup. That's not the point. The point is that you wanted to talk to kids. If you were a grown man dressed in man clothes trying to talk to children that weren't yours about sexuality, we'd have a problem with it. If you were a woman trying to talk to kids that weren't yours about sexuality, we would have a problem with it. The problem isn't that you dress a certain way. Nobody cares. That is your life. You're an adult. Do whatever you want with your life. I have no say in that. We care about the fact that you're going after young, defenseless children, and they act like victims, and it bothers me so much.
Yeah, but why? Think about that. Why are they want kids at their thing? That's like a stripper, right? Telling everybody, hey, everybody, come to my strip show tonight. And little kids, you're invited too. We want you little kids there. What does that? Like, why does every time you guys are doing it, like, even if you guys are gonna have your own shows, go ahead. You guys are adults, go do whatever the heck you guys are gonna go do. But why are you wanting little kids there?
I think it's the need for validation. They're definitely trying to influence the next generation to accept them, to forcefully accept them. They need the validation from children because they don't have validation from themselves. It's the same, it's the same reason why some some trans individuals will force people to acknowledge them by whatever they identify as, right? Because and if you don't call them by whatever they identify as, they get very triggered. Why is that? Because they need your validation. They need outside validation. You can call me a man. I'm going to laugh because I know I'm not. And I'm not going to force you to call me anything else because I really don't care. But to these people, they need your validation because they don't believe it themselves. So I definitely
just
think
think they're a bunch of perverts. I think that they just want to. They realize they're a bunch of horny men that it's accepted to have little kids bouncing on your laps. You want to be look. Every girl, and well, I would say every girl, but every pretty girl, you know how it is to be around some sweaty older man as a young teenager, and he's like rubbing up against you all weird, and you're like, oh, this dude's disgusting. What is the difference from these old men? They're perverts. I'm sorry. They just know that a certain community will accept them bouncing little kids on their lap. Like it's a form of pedophilia. It really is.
It's
They're
a sad, bro,
like
that we even have to
borderline
have.
being weirdos. Like, and
It's weirdo that we have to even
everybody's
talk
acting like it's
about that.
normal.
It
Yeah,
is. It is weird.
imagine it's like a Twilight Zone that we would even have to talk because it was always everybody knowing. It would be everybody in lockstep that that's wrong, that's disgusting, all that. It's even sad and frightening that we're even half of the population, whatever it is, that's condoning that and acting like it's a good thing.
They're
That's
so
frightening.
afraid of the social pressure, so afraid of being called transphobic that they're allowing like random strangers to just
Those
sexualize
parents,
themselves in front of their
man,
kids.
that's what I told. Hey, Rod, imagine those parents, right? Because they're so much wanting to push that gay agenda, whatever, that they're putting their kids like, yeah, here, you go over there and be at that thing and all that, just
They're
because
like
they're wanting to push that.
sacrificing their
They're putting
kids,
their
bro.
Yeah.
kids in
They're like
harm way. And
sacrificing them.
we posted a bunch of articles and things like that where a bunch of those dudes and that came out pedophiles and all kinds of things. So you're jeopardizing your little kid because you're trying to
So
push
just
that
talk about
agenda.
that real quick. Like real quick, give a quick summary about how you try to call it out, and then everybody gave you pushback. The transgender community gave you pushback, and they end up arresting this guy from actually being a pedo.
Oh, over here in the Wee Spa, when the Wee Spa incident came out, a man went in there with all these women and the little girls, and he was butt naked in there. And there was a black woman, and she got mad, and she's like, "What are you doing in here?" Whatever, whatever. And he's like, "What? I'm a woman." And it was a big old thing. So then a bunch of all of us, we were gonna go over there and protest in front of the Wee Spa. But the Antifa, what they do is once they see a flyer, they pass it in all their groups. So they went out there in full force. And I went, and I was the first one there. And I looked, and they didn't know who I was or what. And then because they see me a Latino, they weren't tripping or what. But there was hundreds of them, right? So all the patriots left because there was hundreds of them, right? But then so the only ones that stayed, there was like 10 Christians, 10 like preachers out there. They were just totally not into politics. They were
But
just
basically, they were
Christians,
supporting him
and
because
they
they were saying that
violently
he was
assaulted them.
transgender. They were
Huh?
supporting him, right? They were supporting him
No,
because
they
they
were
said
there
that.
on our. They were there against it.
No. I'm talking about Antifa. Then. They were
Oh yeah,
supporting
they were
that.
there supporting. Yeah, they were in there supporting it, and they ended up violently attacking those Christians, busted their heads open, and they were like, even women.
And what
They
happened
were
to that guy?
attacking them, saying, yeah. And then it came out. So then the media was all trying to vilify us and trying to put sympathy, like how she said that for that other guy. They were trying to say like, oh, they're attacking this. They're like the media was trying to like sympathize for him, and then they just went silent. Right, the story went silent, and it was because he was wanted for all kinds of sexual assault. So he was gone. He was split. Was
Bingo.
on the run. Yeah, for like a year. They were searching for him, and they finally got him, and they finally arrested him. But how the media was trying to
I didn't
cover
even
for this
hear
dude, and
about
he was a straight sexual predator,
Imagine that.
and they were kind of making us feel bad because we didn't want him in there with the little girls and the women. They were trying to make it like if we were wrong, and he ended up being a straight predator.
it bothers me how much, especially transgender men who have transitioned and call themselves women, want to force themselves into women's spaces that are just not safe for women. If you want to identify however you identify, go ahead, but don't force yourself into areas that were specifically divided for biological purposes. You're saying that being trans is a going against social gender norms. That's fine. But if it's again going against social gender norms, why are you imposing on divisions based off of biology? You're putting women at risk. The fact that women aren't more against this, that they're not more outraged by everything that is going on, actually is insane. You
You
can't
Yeah,
make
know,
like
you're spot on because trip out on this. You're spot on because I guarantee you they would look at me as like, oh, this guy has too much masculinity. Imagine me, right? Because I'm the guy they don't like. Imagine if I went to a girl's restroom and I was like, all right, move out of the way, girls. I can't hold it. And I go in there, they're gonna be like, ooh, ooh, gross. Look at this guy. He's probably a Trump supporter. How gross. But they won't accept me going into a woman's restroom. I guarantee you they wouldn't.
they
They
would if
would
you put
not
a
at
dress
all.
on.
yeah, but if you put a dress on, you can't. But like you
Thank
were
you.
saying,
That's
But
my
like she was
that's
point.
saying, like Araceli was saying, where's your rights? See, you're a woman. You know what I mean? Like they don't care about your rights because what you say, all you have to say is, "Well, I don't want some dude being in the restroom with me or whatever." Why don't they respect you? And why don't they respect women's right? There's making their rights supersede women's rights, and that's what I'm saying. Where's all these feminists at? And like we
exactly.
always say with sports and all of that, like, where's your rights? You should be able to say, what? I don't want no man in there where I'm changing or in the shower or whatever it is. I don't want no man in there. And they should be like, okay, we respect you and that. You know what I mean? They should be like that. But no, they're like through it. That's when they try to sack like, we're the party of women's rights and all that. No, you're
Yeah.
not.
We're
It's fake.
seeing men take scholarships that should be going to young women, take opportunities away from women to further their education. When it comes to sports, we saw a man break a woman's skull, but it's okay because he wears a dress when he gets off of the ring. I don't care what he wears. He hurt her. Why? Because he has the biological advantage. We're seeing biological men place first in women's sports like nationally, but they wouldn't place 79th in the men's division. They couldn't cut it in their own division, so they switched over to the women's division. For the first time ever, we saw a woman who's transitioned into a male. She competed in a men's sports previously before she transitioned and was competing in women's sports. She placed nationals. She was all American and she had qualified to try out for the Olympics. This is impressive. When she transferred over to the men's division, she placed 79 out of 82, sorry. The people she beat, one of them didn't have an arm. But because just biologically speaking, we cannot compete with men. Men have the physical advantage, and there's nothing wrong with acknowledging it. But we're seeing men, biological men, take opportunities away from young women, and feminists don't care because he wears a dress.
Exactly. Totally fake. But all right, we're gonna. But so Sally, she's gonna talk about the tax thing before we go in and
Okay.
give everybody some facts right here. Pay attention, everybody.
So if you guys have the time, or I have a full video on this, I actually have a few. I did a series. Look up the Fair Tax Act. It's very interesting because in what this bill seeks out to do is to get rid of the IRS. It seeks to get rid of the federal income tax. Why? Because when the Congress looked at studies and everything, they found that one of the biggest things that impede social mobility and lower income and middle income is general federal income taxes because they're so heavy. So when you have a check, when you're getting a biweekly check of $2,000-3,000, you're seeing 40% of that check go to the federal government. You can't touch 40% of what you earn. It's very sad. When you're getting a bonus of $20,000, you only get about 16,000 and 12,000 and something goes to the federal government. And then your employers also tax for giving you that check a few grand. I don't think people realize that. So this bill seeks to end that. Instead of having an income tax, you would have a flat consumption tax. It'd be 23% consumption tax. And then instead of tax credits at the end of the year, you would have a monthly tax refund. So but pretty much essentially all the taxes that you paid that weren't for necessities and cost of living would be refunded. So lower and middle income class would only be paying taxes on luxury items. So this would actually benefit the middle class the most. And the only reason I heard about this was because I saw a lot of liberals creators talking about how the only bill that Republicans had introduced to the House was a bill to benefit the rich. This would actually adversely affect the rich only because the rich spend more money on luxury items, more money on things that are not necessities than people that are not rich do. So this would, and you cannot, here's the thing. So what people don't realize is that when it comes to federal income taxes, most rich people and most businesses, they have teams of accountants and teams of lawyers to help them avoid taxes. They're doing this legally. They're avoiding taxes legally. They're not doing anything illegal. So the IRS doesn't benefit so much um, from auditing the rich because they have less mistakes. And if you've ever made a mistake on your tax filings, one mistake of $100 is going to cost you $1,000 because of the fees and everything. So they'll really tax you because we're rich, because big businesses have teams of accountants and lawyers. They don't have as many mistakes. They can fight off a lot of the fees. It doesn't benefit them to go after the rich the way it benefits them to go after lower middle income class. Did you realize a lot of people don't realize that the IRS audits people of lower income 5 times more than they do people who are higher income. So the reality is that it's a lot easier to take money from people who are lower income because they can't defend themselves. So when we were having those influx of 87,000 IRS agents, that wasn't to audit major businesses. That was to audit everybody else. Everybody who doesn't have an accountant or a CPA and a tax lawyer.
They're going to get people that are claiming babies. You know how everybody claims extra babies?
Exactly.
Dang, they're going to get you guys.
Exactly. So realistically, this would actually hurt people who are higher income. I wouldn't say hurt. They'd be paying a fair share based off of luxury items and actually help lower middle income because they'd be paying a lot less taxes. They would have access to more of their own income, which sounds like insane that you have to say that, but a lot of the money that you work for, half of it goes to somebody who doesn't want to work, who's living off of the government, and this wouldn't be the case anymore. You'd have more free income. So this is and I do encourage people to look into the Fair Tax Act because it would not only get rid of the 87,000 extra IRS agents, but it would get rid of the IRS entirely. And I mean, I think that's one way to start. I would actually encourage a lot of other government agencies to be looked into as well. But they're marketing this, the Democrats are marketing this as a bill that helps the rich when in reality it would help the lower middle income classes the most.
That's
so it's always
really interesting. I think that's you should make, have you made a video about it already?
I've made a series and I'm continuing it because there's like so much that goes into this.
Right. Yeah, sometimes you can't just do it in a minute and 30 seconds, right? But I think that's interesting because I think if you get the lower to middle class involved in and actual educating them on this, that would be major pushback. Major, if they knew. I think it'd be huge.
Yeah, I think the fact that Democrats are so heavily against this, Democratic politicians, shows that they're the party that's for the rich. I mean, we've known this for a while, but they market themselves as the party for the people. But a lot of the policies that they implement hurt small businesses. They impede social mobility because do you know how much harder it is to start a business financially in California than it is in any other state? Because you have to be able to afford the taxes. The fact that I said you have to pay taxes, pay taxes on the amount that you pay your employees. So paying them a lot more actually hurts you. But people don't realize any of this. They don't realize that because of all the excessive amount of laws and regulations that California has, small businesses can't afford to start up in California. So and all of these are passed by Democrats. This hurts the middle class. This hurts everybody who's not a billionaire, basically.
Right. And small businesses can't thrive, right? So, yeah. So that's why we're seeing so many businesses because of taxes. And we've seen this, a lot of guys, even like Joe Rogan, a lot of guys that have big businesses will usually leave to other states, right? They'll usually leave and they'll still, do business in California, but they're under different, tax laws. It's just interesting with smaller businesses. And I think you're spot on. I'm gonna look at that. Is the series on TikTok?
It's on TikTok.
Okay, that's interesting.
This is my last 2 videos, but I think I'm gonna have to do at least like 2 or 3 more just to cover a majority of it. And I want to go more in depth on how Democratic policies, especially the things that you can see in California, how they negatively affect anybody who's not a multimillionaire.
Jeez. So what we've learned from our talk today, we learned that we need to hold politicians accountable, right? So everybody that's listening right now, feel free to bash. Like don't go, you know what I mean? Everybody's always like, why are you bashing your side? I'm like, oh, because I didn't vote for Nancy Pelosi, retard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't vote for her. So how am I gonna hold her accountable? Which she's long gone, eyebrows is long gone, but it's always good to hold politicians accountable. Does it mean you threw your hat in the ring and you're out? It just means that, and who came up with this whole thing. You have to vote. Like, and I get what they're saying. You should vote, but at least to believers, if God's telling you and you don't feel right, guess what? When you pass away, God's not going to be like, in 1979, you voted for this person. You didn't vote for Donald Trump. No, he's just going to be like, hey, you held to your standards. You held to your godly moral compass. And Jess, I wanted you to talk about that real quick. We only got so many time. I know you want to talk about Lexit standing on our values and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, no, we always do. That's how everybody knows, and we don't sway. That's where we hold the line. Like we could compromise on it could be the border or the Second Amendment and all that, whatever we could. But when it comes to things of God, at Lexit, it goes against the Bible and all that, we won't go against the Word of God. We stand true. I don't care who it is or whoever it is they tell us or whatever. That's how we roll. Is that we're going to honor God because then we'll be hypocrites because that's why. We call out stuff from the other side and all that, and then if our side or whatever is doing it, and then we're right there too, it's going to make us look fake hypocrites, and I can't be fake. Anybody that knows me, even from when I used to be in the hood and all that, I can't be fake. I got to be real, and at Lexit, that's why we always honor God first. That's just the way we are, and yeah, but just want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll be back on next week. And thank our once again our sponsor, D Hart Construction. Thank you for supporting
We're
us
gonna
for
have a
all you
special
do.
guest, right? Next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have a special guest from Tennessee, a good brother. He was just running for office out there in Tennessee. He's a good brother of mine, Tommy. He's gonna come on with us next week and tell us about some stuff that's going on over there. But yeah, till then, follow Araceli. She's mostly on TikTok. Tell them how to find you on TikTok, Araceli.
Under at the last Chelly. I need to start making this little box my username.
Yeah. At the last
Have us
Sally
little
on
thing.
TikTok, and then A-Rod and me are on our Lexit page. But remember, go to our website if you want to interested in joining one of our chapters. Go to our website, wearelexit.com. Click join the fight. You get your Lexit gear, whatever you want to do, and keep pushing.
Yeah, share. If you see Sister's videos, she has awesome videos. Share them. That's how we educate not only the Latino community, but the younger people, the independent voter. We need to educate them. A lot of them are so sick of politics when it comes to the left, when it comes to the right. We need to let them know that, hey, look, these are policies that affect your lives, and they don't even know it. They think that they don't have a voice, and they collectively we do, but it's up to us. So thank you guys for coming on. We'll see you guys next week. God bless. Take care. And put Jesus first. Vote Jesus.
Always, Latinos don't have to be Democrats. See you
Amen.
next week.
Bye, guys.
Hi, this is Kathy D. Hart with D. Hart Construction Services, located right here in the Inland Empire. You know, we're a family-owned business, and today our youngest member of our family is visiting. Kinsey, can you say hi?
Hi.
Now, Kinsey, I have an important question for you. Where do you think food comes from?
A market store?
You're right. But before it gets to a market, we have farmers and dairies and all kinds of other people who make food. Do you remember hearing that?
Uh-huh.
And then we have people who have to keep the food cold.
And guess what?
What?
I remember we getting strawberries at a litter market.
Well, Papa and I, we work with companies that make food and keep food cold and gets it to the grocery stores.
That's cool.
DCS is a proud supporter of the American Dream. For all of your cold storage or food facility needs, visit our website at chillwithdheart.com. Once again, chillwithdheart.com. Serving all of California, CSLB 949062.